I spent a decade doing the right thing, but it cost me more than I expected until I brought one food back. Linda, 73, thought skipping yolks protected her heart. It turns out she was weakening her bones, starving her brain, and missing the most healing part of the egg. For years, yolks were blamed for cholesterol, but new science reveals they are one of the most complete healing foods for aging adults. They don't just protect memory and bones, they can quietly reverse years of silent depletion. 1. Egg yolks have 90% of the egg's nutrients. Seniors need. Linda avoided yolks for 10 years. Her cholesterol stayed stable, but her energy dipped. Her memory felt foggier, and her bone scan came back worse than expected. I followed the rules, she said. Egg whites, dry toast, low-fat everything. But my bones kept getting weaker. She wasn't alone. Many older adults, especially women, were told for decades that yolks were dangerous. Too much cholesterol, too fatty. Better safe than sorry, they said. But here's what they didn't tell you. The yolk contains over 90% of the egg's nutrition. The white, mostly protein. That's it. Inside the yolk, you'll find choline, essential for brain health and memory formation, lutein plus zeaxanthin. Protect your vision and reduce age-related macular degeneration. Vitamin D strengthens bones and improves calcium absorption. Vitamin B12 supports nerve function and energy metabolism. Omega-3s reduce inflammation and support heart and brain health. Without the yolk, you're removing the parts your body needs most as it ages. A 2025 review by the Australian Egg Nutrition Council showed that 1 in 4 seniors over 70 have a choline deficiency, a nutrient found almost exclusively in egg yolks. This deficiency is linked to cognitive decline and even misdiagnosed early dementia. Think of the yolk as your body's golden repair kit, built by nature to nourish your joints, neurons, and bones. When you discard it, it's like throwing away the engine and keeping the hood. And the truth is, the fear was always misplaced. Newer studies, like the Asprey study, 2025, found that in adults over 65, eating up to 7 whole eggs per week had no negative impact on cardiovascular risk, and was associated with better bone density and mental clarity. Quick daily fix: 1 whole egg, add 1/2 cup spinach. Cook low plus slow with olive oil. This preserves lutein plus choline while avoiding high heat oxidation. We'll walk through that recipe in the next segment. But for now, have you been skipping the most powerful part of your breakfast because of a belief that may no longer be true? You're not alone. But today, you know more. And tomorrow, you can eat wiser, without fear. 2. The Asprey study that changed everything about cholesterol and fractures. We were told yolks were dangerous, but science, when it finally caught up, told a different story. In 2025, the Asprey longitudinal study published data that shook decades of nutrition advice. It followed 8,756 seniors over several years to track how dietary habits affected health outcomes, particularly cardiovascular disease, bone strength, and cognitive decline. One of their most surprising findings: seniors who avoided egg yolks had no decrease in cardiovascular risk, but a 42% higher rate of bone fractures and more signs of choline-related cognitive decline. Why? Because while people were avoiding dietary cholesterol, they were also unknowingly cutting out vitamin D, critical for calcium absorption and bone density; choline, used in memory-forming brain cells; B12, protects the insulation of nerves; lutein, preserves retinal health and visual coordination. These nutrients aren't found in significant amounts in the egg white. They're in the yolk, the golden part so many tossed out of fear. And it gets worse. The Asprey team also found that many who replaced yolks with commercial egg white products were consuming gums, preservatives, and oxidized fats, ingredients now known to increase vascular inflammation. Exactly what they were trying to avoid. One researcher put it bluntly: we threw out nature's multivitamin and replaced it with processed fear. It's not just about what we removed, it's about what we lost. Stronger bones, sharper memory, better postural balance, calmer joints. The study changed hospital guidelines across Australia and was cited in New American Heart Association updates for older adults. So, if you've been skipping yolks, not because of taste, but because of old cholesterol fear, this is your science-backed permission to let that go. What if the one food you avoided out of caution was the one your body needed most? Let's bring it back, not recklessly, but wisely. And in the next segment, I'll show you how. 3. How to reintroduce egg yolks safely after 60. When Linda finally decided to try eating the yolk again, she didn't jump in with a 3-egg omelet. She started with 1 egg, softly scrambled, paired with spinach and olive oil. It felt like a quiet truce, she told me, like I was finally feeding the part of me I'd been afraid of. And she was right. There's a way to reintroduce yolks gently, without fear, and with full nutritional benefit. Why 1 whole egg? Because that's where the balance lives. Enough vitamin D for calcium activation. Enough choline for neurotransmitter production. No excess of saturated fat or cholesterol, despite the myths. Just 1 egg provides 147 milligrams choline, 27% of daily need, 6% daily vitamin D plus high bioavailability of lutein plus zeaxanthin, vision-protecting antioxidants. The white gives structure. The yolk brings repair. Add spinach. Here's why. Boosts magnesium and folate pairs, well with egg-based iron for better absorption. Adds fiber, which many seniors lack at breakfast, and best of all, it supports your digestion when you're still waking up. Cook with olive oil, not butter, not sprays. Why? Because olive oil resists oxidation under medium-low heat. It protects the egg's delicate fats and preserves its bioactive nutrients. In contrast, high heat sprays or over-frying can damage the very compounds you're trying to protect. Golden Shield. Scramble recipe. Heat 1 teaspoon olive oil in a small non-stick pan. Crack in 1 whole egg plus 2 tablespoons water. Stir gently on medium-low heat. When egg is almost set, fold in 1/2 cup chopped spinach. Cook just until the greens soften. Serve immediately. Eat within 1 hour of waking. This is what we call a re-entry food, something that invites your body back to wholeness, 1 quiet bite at a time. And if it's been years since you've had a yolk, you may find the richness surprising, comforting even, not because of taste, but because your body recognizes what it's been missing. Have you been skipping yolks out of habit, or out of a fear that no longer matches the science? Because healing doesn't always require removing things. Sometimes it begins by gently adding something back in. 4. Most seniors overcook their eggs and lose the best nutrients. Linda used to pan-fry her eggs until the edges were brown and crisp. I thought that meant they were cooked well, safe, she said. But what she didn't know, and what many seniors don't, is that high heat quietly destroys the very nutrients their bodies need most. Let's break this down gently. The egg yolk contains several fragile compounds, including choline, supports memory formation, especially in the hippocampus, lutein, pulse. Zeaxanthin, protect vision and reduce inflammation in aging brains. Omega-3s maintain cellular flexibility and reduce joint pain. Vitamin A plus D, fat-soluble vitamins that degrade quickly in high heat. These nutrients begin breaking down when exposed to temperatures above 160 degrees Celsius, 320 degrees Fahrenheit, the point where most frying pans operate on medium-high or above. In one 2022 study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, researchers found that pan-frying an egg at high heat reduced choline availability by up to 24%. Lutein content dropped even more, nearly 30% lost in scrambled eggs cooked too hot. Here's the fix: low and slow cooking method. Heat your pan on low to medium-low. Add a few tablespoons of water. This helps regulate heat. Stir eggs slowly as they begin to set. Remove from heat before fully dry. Moist eggs equals preserved nutrients. Avoid browning, crisping, or over-stirring. This preserves the natural structure of the fats in the yolk and allows your body to absorb its nutrition more fully. Think of it this way. Cooking an egg is like whispering to a locked door. If you shout with heat, it slams shut. But if you warm it slowly, the nutrients stay open, ready to enter your system. And yet, nearly 70% of seniors in the US report using high heat sprays or overcooking their eggs to make sure they're done. But done isn't the same as alive. If your breakfast leaves you full but still foggy, it may not be what you're eating, but how you're preparing it. Question for you. Have you ever thought about the heat you use as part of your health routine? Because from today, it's not just about what's on your plate, it's about how gently you bring it to life. 5. I thought I was playing it safe. I was actually starving my cells. I never smoked, I walked every day. I cut all the fat out of my meals, Linda said. Her voice held a quiet pride and a quiet pain. But somehow, I was still getting weaker. What she didn't realize was that her well-meaning habits, shaped by decades of fear-driven advice, were slowly starving her cells of the very nutrients they needed to heal. No yolks, low-fat everything, dry toast, no oils. For years she followed this routine. Her labs looked okay, but she felt tired, fuzzy. Her joints ached. Her bone scan at 72 showed early signs of osteopenia, thinning bones. That was my wake-up call, she said. How could I be doing everything right and still falling apart? She reached out to a local dietitian who introduced her to something radical. The idea that fat, when whole, natural, and balanced, can be healing. Egg yolks were the first thing she brought back, not as a cheat, not with guilt, but as a quiet act of self-care. Within 2 weeks, she noticed better digestion, more mental clarity, less anxiety in the mornings, and surprisingly, less joint stiffness. Why? Because the choline in yolks helps support the production of acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter for memory and muscle control, and the omega-3s and vitamin D. They reduce systemic inflammation, improve joint lubrication, and assist in calcium absorption, all essential for aging bodies. Her story isn't rare, it's just rarely told, because most of us don't question the habits we've built from fear, until one day, the cracks show. Tell me honestly, have you ever realized a habit you thought was safe might have been silently hurting you? Linda's change didn't come from supplements or surgeries. It came from listening to her body, not the headlines. And tomorrow, it can start with one yolk, one gentle plate, one quiet yes to nourishment. What if all those years of tossing the yolk weren't just about avoiding cholesterol, but about avoiding complexity? Because healing, real healing, often lives in the places we've pushed away, not in restriction, not in cutting, but in relearning how to receive. That's what Linda discovered. She didn't transform her life with pills. She didn't change overnight. She just made one small promise. I will no longer fear food that was made to feed me. So, here's my gentle invitation. Tomorrow morning, try this. The Golden Shield. Scramble 1 whole, egg 1/2 cup, spinach 1 teaspoon olive oil, cook low and slow. Eat within 1 hour of waking, no fads, no trends. Just quiet support for your bones, memory, and heart, all in one golden bite. And if you do, I'd love to hear how you feel after. Because sometimes the biggest shift doesn't happen in our blood work, but in the mirror, the mind, and the morning light. Your turn. Have you ever feared a food only to learn it was never the enemy? Drop your story below. Your experience might be the light someone else needs to begin again. And if you found this helpful, subscribe gently. We're building a space where healing is human and food is not the villain.